Plane spotting, anyone? Once known as Torrance Municipal Airport, this beloved South Bay spot was renamed for local sports and war hero Louis Zamperini back in 1946. I had visited Zamperini Field in 2020 in the thick of the coronavirus pandemic, so wearing masks during our interview was a must.
RAFAEL Herrera, you are the airport manager. So tell me, how has COVID-19 affected this airport? Obviously, it's not on such a grand scale like Los Angeles International Airport.
Yeah, so if you want to compare LAX to Torrance Airport, it's two separate airports. One, obviously, LAX is a commercial airport. Torrance Airport is not a commercial airport. We have more of a private general aviation aircraft that utilize this airport. The number of operations during the pandemic now with COVID, it has been more impactful for the commercial airports. I haven't seen those numbers. The numbers at LAX have been close to 80, maybe even 90% during the worst part of the pandemic. The numbers that we saw during those months, it was more of a reduction of about 30%. Now we see those numbers to be a lot more. Those numbers significantly have changed during the whole COVID because of the travel, the leisure travel, and all the general aviation aircraft have been reduced, but not anything near what we saw in some of the airports like LAX or Burbank or Long Beach. During the time of the COVID lockdown, you have a lot of the general aviation private owner aircraft that didn't venture out to the airport during that time. Things are actually, the activity starting to pick up. I think people are a little kind of at ease and see what to expect or what kind of conditions they were. But now I think people are a little bit more in tune as far as what kind of parameters they need to follow, what kind of restrictions and stuff like that, in order for them to kind of venture out into the airport and utilize their private aircraft.
As you just said, expectations. So what can a person expect when they come here? Obviously, we're wearing masks right now. What else do you have to adhere to when you're here at Zamperini Field? And it's people who own aircraft, it's guests as well, and it's visitors, because people like to come and go and watch the airplanes and the helicopters.
We've instituted a lot of things into the airport, following CDC guidelines, following the LA County Health Department guidelines that we have in place. Obviously, just wearing the mask once you're inside the building. We have sanitation stations here in the airport. We recommend if you're not feeling well, that you do not enter the airport or enter the terminal building. And just following those guidelines, we've instituted in our office plexiglass to make sure that we're keeping our staff secure or safe during these times. And also we're protecting the public as well as they're visiting. Because the airport, essentially, we never closed. We just always kept going because it's one of those essential needs. We're part of the transportation system.
So when the general public comes to Zamperini Field, where can they go? What places on the premises can they enjoy the experience?
Yeah, so please do come and enjoy the experience here at the airport. We certainly have obviously the terminal building here is kind of the introduction into the airport, kind of like the doors of the airport. It's here, the facility is open, it's available, it's open to the public. And we have a wonderful viewing deck that is available to the public as well. Terminal and our viewing deck has a great view of the airport. Come and see and check out, bring the kids, and just have a wonderful time. There's 4 flight schools here on the airport, and they are still continuing to adhere to COVID guidelines based on CDC and from the LA County Health Department. We instituted those programs. They've been able to kind of maintain a steady number of operations based on their training. They've instituted programs where they wear masks if there's an instructor and there's a student, because it's kind of hard to do the 6 feet in between the cockpit. That's how they're managing. But I've seen them institute where they're cleaning their aircraft prior every time any student changes.
So how has COVID-19 affected charter flights?
Obviously, charter flights have been reduced just since the beginning, but we're starting to see that they're coming back. And actually, they're coming back, I think, busier than it would be for some of the, like LAX or the commercial traffic.
What I find remarkable is during this whole time, nothing closed down at this airport, except for the museum, which I'm going to talk to your boss about. But everything stayed open here.
That is correct. The flight schools, the maintenance shops were all part of the essential of the transportational system, so they were open. Unfortunately, the museum, of course, was not open. Obviously, them being a museum and the foot traffic and the public, that obviously was one of those businesses that was affected here at the airport.
Gerry PINELA, you are the Facility Operations Manager, which basically means you are in charge of everything that goes down at Zamperini Field. One thing we love about this place, the Western Museum of Flight.
We get daily requests, calls, people dropping by wanting to see the museum. They're meeting CDC and LA County Health Protocol. It's a great place to visit. They have model airplanes, they have actual airplanes in there, a library. They have a lot of things that the community likes to come and see.
And now the community can go and see all the aviation treasures at the Western Museum of Flight because it is officially back in business. After closing mid-March 2020 due to COVID, they reopened in early May 2021. Guests can currently visit 4 days a week, Friday through Monday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and by appointment. Masks are required. This summer, they even introduced new programs like their Flight Test Day Camp for all future pilots, plus an aviation celebrity lecture series.
Everyone is so excited for the reopening of the museum.
They can visit WMOF.com. That's the Western Museum of Flight website. We look forward to seeing you here.